15 Super Sentai seasons that could still be adapted into Power Rangers. Since 1993, Power Rangers has become the most popular and recognizable American tokusatsu franchise of all time. And that was only possible thanks to the adaptations of another Japanese series known as Super Sentai. What many people don't realize is that there's still a lot of material left to adapt from the Japanese show. After all, Super Sentai first aired back in 1975, long before the debut of Power Rangers. So today we've selected 15 Super Sentai seasons that were either forgotten or completely ignored by the Power Rangers producers, but could still be repurposed for our favorite Rangers. Let's dive in.
1. Gosei Sentai Dairanger. Technically speaking, this season was already adapted into Power Rangers, but only partially. In Power Rangers Super Megaforce, we briefly saw the Rangers using the Dairanger suits. In the second season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, several of the Zords and monsters were taken from Dairanger, along with the iconic White Ranger suit worn by Tommy Oliver. However, the Mighty Morphin storyline ended up getting tons of original footage and diverged from the original Japanese plot, blending in other concepts from Super Sentai. The original Dairanger story is set in ancient China, where 3 tribes built the now-lost Dao civilization. The evil Gorma tried to conquer the empire, but the Dai opposed them. Ancient and powerful Chi beasts chose to ally with 5 members of the Shuare tribe, ancestors of humanity, who mastered the magical Chi energy. Together, they defeated the Gorma. In 1993, the Gorma returned, forcing the Chi beasts to search for new warriors to continue the fight. The new Rangers were inspired by traditional Chinese mythological creatures, a concept that was carried over visually into Power Rangers, but without the same mythical depth. 2. Uchu Sentai Kyuranger. Just like Dairanger, Uchu Sentai Kyuranger was partially adapted into Power Rangers Cosmic Fury, borrowing the Zord designs and the interstellar theme from the Japanese version. But the original suits of Kyuranger and its unique focus on a team made up of diverse alien life forms were left behind. While Cosmic Fury does bring fresh ideas to the Power Rangers lore, it loses some of the unique charm that made Kyuranger so special. In the Kyuranger universe, Earth has been taken over by the organization Jark Matter, ruled by Donbrothers. To fight back, mystical stones powered by constellations choose 9 warriors from across the galaxy. Humans, aliens, and even cyborgs come together as a rebellion. The series carries a Star Wars-like vibe, but still introduces brand new twists to the tokusatsu formula. 3. Hikeonin Sentai Akibaranger. This one is a mix of parody and fan appreciation for Super Sentai. It's not officially part of the main line, but since it was made by Toei and packed with references, it still feels very connected. And there's a clear reason why it was never adapted. Akibaranger is filled with comedic action and meta jokes that only work in Japan. Many of the designs are intentionally silly, especially the hairstyles on the Rangers' helmets. Still, adapting this series could be a fun way to celebrate Power Rangers fans, just as Akibaranger did for Japanese viewers. The story follows 3 otakus: Nobuo Akaji, a longtime Super Sentai fan; Mitsuki Aoyaji, who hides her deep love for anime; Yamiria Emoji, a cosplayer and artist. They're chosen by an equally geeky scientist to protect Akibaranger, Tokyo's electric town and pop culture hub. Armed with special suits and weapons, they enter a unique dimension to fight monsters. But as the story progresses, the monsters start crossing into the real world, forcing them to realize they aren't just heroes in their imaginations. They're heroes for real. Crazy, right? For Osama Sentai King-Ohger, the most recent Super Sentai season, Osama Sentai King-Ohger hasn't had enough time yet to be adapted for American audiences. It's simply too new, especially with Bakuage Sentai Boonboomjar already on the horizon. Still, there's a chance we might see King-Ohger adapted in the future. This season features some of the franchise's best suit designs, with Rangers wearing regal, armor-like outfits. The theme is a wild mix of insects and interstellar knights / royalty. Strange at first glance, but honestly, we've seen weirder combinations in Power Rangers. In the story, millennia before the events of King-Ohger, the Bugnarak Empire rose from underground on the planet Chikyu to seize control. 5 heroes united against them, and after defeating the Bugnarak, each founded their own kingdom. In modern times, the Bugnarak return, and the corrupt King Araqles tries to use this opportunity to consolidate all the kingdoms under his rule. That's when a young man named Jira steals the Ohger Caliber, a powerful blade, and joins forces with the other royal heirs to stop both the Bugnarak and King Araqles. 5. Chikyu Sentai Fiveman. Originally released in 1990, Chikyu Sentai Fiveman tells the story of 5 siblings working as teachers on Earth. Secretly, however, they're alien refugees, survivors of the invasion of the planet Sadon that separated them from their parents. Raised by a family friend, the 5 escaped to Earth as children and developed advanced technology and weapons in preparation for a possible attack by the evil Zone Empire. Their mission is to protect their new home, defeat the Zone army, and even an evil Sentai rival team, while still holding on to the hope of reuniting with their parents one day. Among the many Super Sentai entries, Fiveman stands out for being released in 1990, yet never receiving a Power Rangers adaptation. They did make a brief cameo in Super Megaforce, and also appeared in the comics under the name Power Rangers Supersonic. 6. Battle Fever J. After teaming up with Toei on the live-action Spider-Man tokusatsu, Marvel Comics collaborated once again to create Battle Fever J, one of the strangest Super Sentai seasons ever made. While it remains a mystery why some Sentai seasons were never adapted, the bizarre and somewhat creepy costume designs of Battle Fever J probably wouldn't have sold well with American audiences, haha. That being said, the season is still historically important. It was the very first Sentai to feature a giant mecha, which later evolved into the iconic Zords and Megazords we know today. Each hero is inspired by a different nation's culture, transforming with a unique country dance. The team consists of Battle Japan, Battle Cossack, Battle France, Battle Kenya, and Miss America. Together, they fight against the evil organization Egos and their army of robots and monsters. Egos eventually discovers that Battle Fever is secretly building a giant robot as their ultimate weapon against evil, and much of the season revolves around their attempts to destroy it before it can be completed. 7. Himitsu Sentai Goranger. Although it was originally considered a Sentai series, and not technically Super Sentai, Himitsu Sentai Goranger has since earned its rightful place as the very first season of the franchise. These jacket-wearing heroes laid the foundation for everything that followed, including what would eventually become Power Rangers. And yet, they've never been adapted or acknowledged in Power Rangers. Given their historical importance, you'd expect at least a cameo, a flashback, or even a reference in the comics. But unfortunately, they remain exclusively in the Super Sentai universe, an overlooked legacy. In the story, the Black Cross Army, a terrorist organization bent on Earth's destruction, wipes out most of the Earth Guard League, Eagul. With only 5 survivors left, they form the mysterious Goranger team. Using advanced technology and twin fighter jets to reach the battlefield, they take the fight directly to the Black Cross Army and their sinister leader. 8. Aviataro Sentai Donbrothers. Some argue that Aviataro Sentai Donbrothers hasn't been adapted simply because it's still new. It came right before King-Ohger. But the reality is, this series is very unlikely to ever get an American adaptation. Why? First, it's deeply rooted in the Japanese folktale of Emomotaro, which wouldn't translate as well to Western audiences. Second, 2 of the main characters are fully animated instead of live action, and overall, the designs are far more experimental and unconventional than typical Sentai/Power Rangers standards. In the story, 21 years ago, Jean Momoi discovered a boy inside a peach-shaped capsule and raised him as his own son. In the present day, Jean chooses Taro and 4 other young people to wield the Aviataro gears, powerful devices that transform them into virtual avatars inspired by Emomotaro's legend. With the powers of the pheasant, One, demon, dog, monkey, and warrior, they fight the Hitotsuki, humans corrupted by the powers of past Super Sentai heroes and transformed into vicious monsters. 9. Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger. Another strange but memorable entry. Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger was created to celebrate the 45th anniversary of Super Sentai. Inspired heavily by past mecha designs, this series is unique because 4 out of 5 team members are robots, transforming into many versions of iconic Sentai mecha. The idea is creative, and since most of these mechas already appeared in Power Rangers, an adaptation could make for some fun fan references. Still, the concept may feel a bit too unconventional for Western audiences. In the story, 2 parallel universes fuse together, creating peace between humans and the robotic Kikainoids. But over time, the rulers of Kikaitopia, known as the Toqger dynasty, began plotting domination of the human world and eventually the entire multiverse. With the power of all previous Sentai heroes, young Kaita Go-Shirkita becomes Zenkaiger and joins forces with 4 key Kainoids to protect reality. Together, as the Zenkaiger team, they wield their Gear-Tlinger blasters and Sentai gears to summon the strength of those who came before. 10. Machine Sentai Kiramager. With so many themes used across Power Rangers and Super Sentai, it's only natural that Toei sometimes revisits ideas. But Machine Sentai Kiramager manages to create something fresh by combining magical crystals with vehicles, a surprisingly unique twist. Coming right after Kisho Sentai Zyuohger, the basis for Dino Fury, Kiramager could easily be the next in line for adaptation after Cosmic Fury. The story follows Princess Mabushina of Crystalia, who escapes to Earth after her homeworld is invaded by the dark forces of Jotunheim. With her, she brings the powerful Kiramai stones. Alongside the Earth-based organization Carrot and its eccentric leader Murio Hakataminami, she recruits 5 humans with strong Kiramental energy to fight back against the looming Jotunheim invasion. While its premise and designs are fairly typical of the franchise, the crystal-powered aesthetic helps it stand out. With that in mind, it feels almost inevitable that this Gemstone Warrior team will eventually arrive in Power Rangers. 11. Resha Sentai Toqger. With nearly 5 decades of Super Sentai history, it's only natural that some seasons end up overlooked. And unfortunately, Resha Sentai Toqger is one of them. Its central theme was trains, which isn't exactly a major cultural touchpoint in the US, making it easy to see why Saban passed on adapting it for marketing reasons. That said, Toqger still offers plenty of unique elements, and some of its villains have already been reused in modern Power Rangers. In this series, the Rangers serve as conductors of the mighty Resha, massive trains that run along the mystical Rainbow Line. Traveling between cities, they battle against the sinister Shadow Line, which feeds on people's negative emotions to corrupt them and expand its own dark railway. The Shadow Line's ultimate goal is to summon their emperor, Zet, into the human world. A standout twist is that one of the Shadow Line's monsters actually reforms and becomes the team's 6th Ranger. Trains and Rangers. Yes, exactly as random as it sounds. 12. Chojin Sentai Jetman. The 15th Super Sentai season, Chojin Sentai Jetman, is noteworthy because it was the last Sentai not adapted before Toqger. While its bird motif may not sound particularly groundbreaking, the season is often praised as one of the strongest early entries in the franchise. Much of that acclaim comes from its mature storytelling, which featured romance, interpersonal drama, and even the death of a ranger, an incredibly rare moment for the time. While its costumes and designs may not stand out compared to flashier seasons, the story more than makes up for it. Set in 1991, the series follows the Sky Force, an international defense agency, aboard the orbital station Earth ship. Scientists there develop bird-on-icy waves, which grants superhuman abilities. After the first successful test on Ryu Tendu, the ship is attacked by the evil Vyram organization. Ryu survives and discovers that the bird-on-icy waves also reached several civilians. Teaming up with these new superhumans, Ryu leads the Jetman in a fight against the interdimensional conquerors. 13. Dobutsu Sentai Zyuohger. Dobutsu Sentai Zyuohger brought back the ever-popular animal theme, but with a twist. All of the mecha and gear were built from blocky, cube-shaped designs that gave the show a pixel art aesthetic. While unique, the toy-centric visuals and anthropomorphic animal characters weren't exactly a hit with fans, which explains why the season has been mostly forgotten. The story follows Yamato Kazukuri, who stumbles upon a hidden realm called Zeoland, home to humanoid animal species known as Zyamans. Initially mistaking Yamato for a thief, Zyamans chase him back to Earth using a Link Cube, only to discover the planet under attack by the alien Death Galleon. The Link Cube is destroyed in the process, leaving them stranded on Earth. Now, Yamato and the Zyamans must unite, using their king's credentials to transform into the Zyuohger and defend the planet. 14. Chodenshi Bioman. Interestingly, Chodenshi Bioman was almost the first season adapted into Power Rangers. A US pilot was filmed, but it never went to series. Despite that, Bioman remains one of the most beloved Super Sentai entries. Drawing inspiration from biotechnology, the season stood out for introducing 2 female Rangers on the same team, a first at the time, and a bold move for the 1980s. It also expanded on the concept of giant robot battles by featuring villains who piloted their own mecha rather than simply growing into giants. The story begins in 15th century Japan, When the giant robot Bio-Robo and its android companion Peebo arrive from the war-torn planet Bio, carrying the mysterious bioparticles, they choose 5 humans as recipients before going into hibernation. Centuries later, with the rise of the evil Neo-Empire Gear and its ruthless leader, Dr. Man, Bio-Robo, and Peebo awaken. They gather the descendants of the original bioparticle hosts to form the Bioman team and defend Earth. 15. Kaita Sentai Lupinranger vs. KS8 Sentai Patranger. With one of the longest titles in franchise history, this season stands out for featuring 2 rival ranger teams with opposing goals, something truly new for the series. The Lupinrangers are phantom thieves inspired by Arsène Lupin, while the Patrangers are a police task force determined to stop them, all while both sides face off against mutual alien enemies. Long ago, Arsène Lupin stole a collection of dangerously powerful artifacts. In modern times, the interdimensional crime syndicate known as the Ganglars steals them for their own purposes. A descendant of Lupin recruits a group of thieves and grants them the power to steal back the Lupin collection and rescue their kidnapped loved ones. Meanwhile, the Patrangers are sworn to stop all criminals, alien or otherwise, which means they're hunting both the Ganglars and the Lupinrangers. But when the stakes grow too high, both teams may be forced to set aside their rivalry and work together to defeat their common foe.